and happy Cooking Technique Tuesday. So today we are making Chicken Yassa that is from the Homecoming cookbook. It is a Senegalese dish that basically I'm going to marinate 4 chicken breasts with onions. It's got lime juice, lime zest. I'm adding a habanero pepper as well. You don't necessarily have to add that. I do love spice though. You could do a jalapeno or you could omit it completely. Garlic, fresh ginger, a little bit of chicken stock as well. So this recipe is absolutely fantastic and I am super excited to share it with you. So in the book, it does say to marinate the chicken in a large bowl. What I am gonna do, because I think it's much easier, is I got my chicken in the bag and then I'm basically just gonna add everything to it. So, including the onions. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, lime juice, quick and easy, and then this will marinate for a couple of hours. But the fresh, oh, also I should mention, be careful when it comes to the chilies. Please use gloves. You know, since we've been in a pandemic for a couple of years, most everybody has gloves sitting around. I have super sensitive skin, so I know at least for myself, gloves are necessary when it comes to extremely spicy peppers because you can actually burn your skin. So I'm adding a little bit of the salt, a little bit of the pepper, and then what I'll do is add the stock. I'm gonna mush this around just a little bit before I add in my onions. Just hold it up. Be cautious because obviously the last thing you want to do is spill this everywhere. I just want to make sure all the liquid and all the goodies are touching the chicken. So now it's a lot of onions, and these will macerate down just a little bit as well. I'm just gonna add these into the bag, and then what I'll do is refrigerate it. Oops, there we go. Sometimes you get a little messy while cooking, and that is okay. Here we go. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna close this up, get rid of all the air, and then toss it around like so, and I will see you in a couple hours. Alrighty, so my chicken has marinated for a couple of hours. I have it here on a plate. I did put a little bit of extra salt on it. I went ahead and drained the marinade off because what I'm going to do is whisk some Dijon mustard in it. I've got these onions as well reserved. I just left them in the bag. And then if we walk over here, I have a clean plate to put the chicken on because what I'm going to do, I put some olive oil spray in here. I'm going to turn the heat on to medium, let it heat up for just a moment, and I'm going to brown the chicken. So I've got 4 chicken breasts total. They are kind of big, so I'm going to cook them 2 at a time just so that they don't crowd and steam themselves. They are going to brown much, much better if I don't crowd my pan. So let me let this get warm and I will see you once we get started with the chicken. Alrighty, we are back. So it's about time for me to flip my chicken over. Whoop. There we go. And I've gotten, oh, there you go, steam. So I've gotten a nice brown color, as you can see, on the chicken. Now, these are pretty darn thick. So the recipe says that basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook it on this side, let it brown a little bit more, cook the other 2. I'm going to set them aside. I'm going to saute the onions. So I'll see you next when I start to do that. But after that, we put the marinade back in with the mustard. Also, we put the chicken in. And it says to cook the chicken for about another 2-3 minutes. So in the recipe, it says to cook the chicken here 2 to 3 minutes on each side. These are extremely thick. So I'm going to cook them about 2 to 3 minutes on each side now, but I'm probably going to let it cook in the onions a little bit longer. So we will see though, but I can tell right now because these guys are super thick, it'll need a little bit more cooking time. So as always, when you are cooking meat, especially chicken breasts, we don't want to overcook it, but we absolutely want to make sure it is cooked through. So always make sure you use a meat thermometer. Alrighty, and I will see you once I'm done with all my chicken and we start the onions. Alright, so I took my chicken out, nice and brown. I took the onions, I just basically dumped them out of the bag. In here, as you can see underneath, there's some good brown bits. We want to make sure and get all of those up. So what I'm going to do is cook the onions together here for like 2-3 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, just until they're kind of lightly softened. And I'm going to make sure and kind of poke them around, make sure to get all those nice brown bits up. That is called the fond. It adds flavor. So what I'll do here in just a minute, let these soften a little bit. And I've got my mixture, the rest of the marinade with the Dijon mustard. And to be honest, I don't usually do recipes where I reuse a chicken marinade. So I'm kind of curious. I think it's going to be really flavorful. I just want to make sure that I do cook this enough because we want to make sure and kill any bacteria. So again, my chicken breasts are pretty thick. It's going to take a little while to cook. Also, just be cautious. Onions are pungent, as is the habanero pepper that I have in here. So my throat's already getting a little scratchy. So just be careful. If you're super sensitive to this, like I am and always have been, make sure to just be careful. Alrighty, don't stand right over it. Alright, I'll see you in a few minutes. Alrighty, we are back. So my onions have softened, and now what I am going to do is add in the marinade. There we go. And then, just because this is a two-handed job, I'm going to add the chicken back in. I'm going to cook it. Again, the cookbook says to cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. I know my chicken needs more than that. So I'm going to check it after 10. Again, you always want to use a meat thermometer. I also want to make sure that the marinade gets nice and heated up as well so that we kill any potential bacteria. Now with the onions, I'm not necessarily looking for browning. I'm looking for softening. So we will be back here in just a little bit. I'm going to let the chicken cook, and I'll see you when we plate. Alrighty, so I just shut this off. I did let it cook for about 12 minutes. Just temped one of them, and it is done. But again, every chicken breast is a different thickness. You may or may not brown it as long as I do, so please make sure to utilize your meat thermometer, because chicken, you always want it to be at 165 when it's done. So this is Chicken Yassa. Usually I would cut to me with my chef jacket plating this. I'm gonna be completely honest. My eyes are burning and red from the habanero peppers and the onions. No one needs to see how I look right now. My throat is scratchy, but this smells fantastic and I cannot wait to eat it. But again, not really camera ready, and I'm not gonna fake it. So just be cautious. Again, I've always been super sensitive to onions and to peppers, having gotten burns on my hands from peppers. So just be cautious, but this smells absolutely fantastic. It'll stop bubbling here in just a minute, and I'm going to dive into this for dinner. So I will see you next Cooking Technique Tuesday.